Hi everybody, welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. In this video, I'm responding to a recent comment that I get from time to time where somebody says, well, not even Jesus Christ knows when he's going to come. So how's the prophet going to know? How's anybody else going to know if Christ himself doesn't know? So I'm going to address this. This is something that I haven't talked about in a while. I've kind of been feeling like I should go back and review some of the things that I haven't covered in a couple years, just because I always get new people subscribing to the channel. So I think I might do a little bit more of that. Maybe when I get comments, that'll trigger me to do a video about whatever the comment is. But we'll get into that. One of my favorite quotes is this from Joseph Smith. You can find this on the Joseph Smith Papers website. Here's the original document over here to the left, and then here's the transcription over here. He says, oh yeah, and by the way, this is Discourse, April 6th, of all days, 1843, as reported by James Burgess. Joseph Smith. Christ says, no man knoweth the day or the hour when the Son of Man cometh. This is a sweeping argument for sectarianism against Latter-dayism. In other words, he's saying that's an argument for the rest of Christianity against the church, because we believe in living prophets that continue to receive revelation. So he says, this is a sweeping argument for sectarianism against Latter-dayism. Did Christ speak this as a general principle throughout all generations? Oh no, he spake in the present tense. No man that was then living upon the footstool of God knew the day or the hour. But he did not say that there was no man throughout all generations that should not know the day or the hour. No, for this would be in flat contradiction with other scripture, for the prophet says, and he's referring to Amos 3:7, that God will do nothing but what he will reveal unto his servants, the prophets. Consequently, if it is not made known to the prophets, it will not come to pass. Okay, so you might point to Mark chapter 13, verse 32. It says, but of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. Then it says, but the Father. Okay, so why would I be saying right now that that Christ would know? And why would Joseph Smith be saying what he did? Okay, I have a spreadsheet called Quotes, Common Misconceptions. You can access my spreadsheets anytime. The link is in the description box of each video. They're best viewed using a desktop or a laptop. There's one person looking at them right now as I'm making this video. Starting with what's currently row 37, I have the topic Timing of the Second Coming, and in column B, the specific misconception. Let me just give you a quick rundown so you can know what's here. Maybe spend some time on here if you get some time. So, misconception, the seals have not been opened yet. The second coming can't happen now because blank hasn't happened yet. The second coming hasn't started yet. The prophet will not know the day or the hour of the second coming. Not even Jesus Christ knows when he'll return, which that's the main topic of this video. We don't need to worry about this because they've been talking about the second coming since New Testament times. We can't really know when it's going to happen. It could be now or 100 years from now. We have to be righteous enough before Christ will return. Or alternatively, the world isn't wicked enough yet. We actually talked about this in a recent video. We're not even close to the second coming. And then the last one that I have is, we know the exact order of events before and after the second coming. We will also know when prophecy has been completely fulfilled. So these are the common misconceptions, and I call them misconceptions because I have quotes and scriptures that are contrary to these misconceptions. These are the most common ones that I've come across since I've started this channel. Now, if we go to the one about not even Christ will know when he's going to return, I have this quote and this scripture that we're going to look at. We're going to start with this quote from Elder Bruce R. McConkie in his book called Doctrinal New Testament Commentary, Volume 1, The Gospels. And this is on page 667. I better zoom in a little bit. Mark 13:32. Neither the Son. These words are deleted from the inspired version, or in other words, the Joseph Smith translation. Jesus, of course, since he knows all things, knows the exact time of his return. Yeah, that makes more sense. Why would Christ have to be in the dark as to his return? The point of us not knowing the exact time and the wicked not knowing is because we are in mortality. We are being tested. If you knew exactly when Christ was going to come, you would, well, not everybody, but some people would change their behavior, and it would skew this test, this probation that we're going through. You're supposed to be doing what's right at all times, regardless of whether you know that the second coming is going to happen or that you're going to die tomorrow. So we're not supposed to know these things. Christ, he's already gained his exaltation. He's the one that made exaltation possible. He's not being tested anymore. He's past his mortality with flying colors. Perfect. The only person to have a perfect score. So it makes sense. Now, let me show you a little bit more what he's talking about here. When you go back to the church website for Mark 13, verse 32, there's a footnote right here, footnote A. It just takes you to day of the Lord. So there's no Joseph Smith translation there, right? Well, if we go to the very top and we click on the very first footnote for verse 1, we click on that, it says, the text of Joseph Smith translation for Mark 13 is the same as Joseph Smith translation Matthew 24. See Pearl of Great Price, Joseph Smith Matthew. Okay, so for these two books, for Mark and for Matthew, this part of the story, this account of what Christ said about the second coming is exactly the same according to the Joseph Smith Matthew, or the Joseph Smith translation. And it's all consolidated in Joseph Smith Matthew. So let's head over there, and we have to go down to verse 40, and it says, but of that day and hour no one knoweth, no, not the angels of God in heaven, but my Father only. So here you don't have those words. How is it phrased over here again? I already forgot. In Mark 13, it says, neither the Son. Right. Neither the Son is not found in Joseph Smith Matthew. Okay, so Christ does know, according to this inspired version. You have to realize, I was going to pull this up, but I forgot to. You have to realize that when it comes to the Bible, you guys, there's a reason why it was necessary to have the Book of Mormon, the Pearl of Great Price, and continuing Revelation. The Bible is mostly correct, but there was a reason why Joseph Smith translations were needed. Now, some people will look at the Bible and be like, no, everything was translated correctly. No. That's not the issue. It's not comparing what we have now to some ancient, older copy of the Bible. Like when you look at the Hebrew or the Greek, it's not that. The problem with the Bible is that we do not have the original manuscripts. The first time that the book of Matthew, the book of Mark, or any other book of the Bible, we do not have the original manuscript. As soon as you make a copy from the original manuscript to the first copy, you have to compare those two things, and then you can know that nothing has been changed. And I have a spreadsheet that shows, I did some research, and there are many years that pass between the time that these different books were written and the oldest surviving copy that we have today. And so you're not able, with what we have, the original manuscripts are probably destroyed. They probably do not exist anymore, unless they were taken up into heaven. They probably do not exist anymore. And so if somebody between the original manuscript and whatever the oldest copy is that we have right now, if somebody decided to take something out, or maybe they weren't being malicious, maybe they were just like using their best judgment, and they're like, oh, this is how it's translated, and they make a mistake, or they take the liberty to kind of interpret what's going on, that's where we have the problem. So the person that made this copy that we have now today, it could have been a mistake, or maybe they didn't like the idea of Christ knowing for some reason. And that's a great segue into what I want to talk about next, because with all these different misconceptions about the timing of the second coming, a lot of them have to do with avoiding the reality of the second coming, or wanting to put it off into the future. Now, for anyone that left a comment that, not even Christ knows, I'm not assuming that you're bad, or that's a valid thing. It's like, yeah, if you didn't know about that Joe Smith translation, you'd be like, well, explain Mark 13:32. So an honest mistake can be made. But many other times when I get these different these comments that push back on the idea that the second coming could be soon, I feel like there's something else that's driving it. I can't pass judgment on every single individual, but in general, it feels like there's something else there that's making you want that to be reality. You don't want to think about the second coming. And so I feel like with what we just talked about, I feel like this is a related misconception. This is my quotes, common misconception spreadsheet. The topic is signs, and the misconception is we shouldn't watch for the signs of the second coming. We should only focus on the here and the now, just what you can control. Don't worry about the future. Well, that sounds good in theory, but when we look at the scriptures, we are commanded to watch for the signs of the times. So I feel like if there's someone that has this kind of opinion, again, they may think that that's just the right thing, or it could be that the second coming scares them. They don't want the second coming to happen because it could mess up what they're doing in life right now. Maybe they have future plans that they don't know how the second coming will mess up those plans, or any number of things. Maybe they know that they're not ready, so they're scared because it is a type of judgment day. So there may be any number of reasons why people don't want the second coming to happen right now or soon, and why they would be like, no, don't even look at the signs, because that's kind of like the ostrich with its head in the sand. There's a reality that's uncomfortable for you, and so you just kind of pretend like it doesn't exist. So with that being said, let's read some of these. Okay, we shouldn't watch for the signs of the times. No, we should. Matthew 25:13. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. So watch. Luke 12:37. Blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. Okay, I'm not going to read all these, just kind of the ones that I want to share here. Doctrine and Covenants 45, verse 44. And then they shall look for me, and behold, I will come, and they shall see me in the clouds of heaven, clothed with power and great glory, with all the holy angels. And he that watches not for me shall be cut off. So again, I think there's a few different meanings here when we're talking about watching, because it could be watching yourself, watching your behavior, making sure that you're worthy and keeping commandments. But I think it probably also applies to actually watching for the signs of the times and how that relates to you and what you need to be doing, and just realizing, okay, it seems like it's happening soon. And so if you have the ostrich with its head in the sand approach, and you're not living the way that you should be, you don't have a temple recommend, you're breaking the commandments, you've stepped off the covenant path, On the outside, everyone thinks that you're a good member of the church, but on the inside and in private, you're living a completely different life. Well, the better thing to do would be to change and then start looking and watching so that when that day does come, you're ready. We have this from Joseph Smith, Journal of Discourses, Volume 6, page 239, column A. I testify of these things, and that the coming of the Son of Man is nigh, even at your doors. If our souls and our bodies are not looking forth for the coming of the Son of Man, and after we are dead, if we are not looking forth, we shall be among those who are calling for the rocks to fall upon us. So you already have your head in the sand, and then when it really comes, you're going to want something more than just grains of sand to hide you. Another one from Joseph Smith. This is, an extract from the Private Journal of Joseph Smith Jr., July 1839, page 9. We shall therefore do well to discern the signs of the times as we pass along, that the day of the Lord may not overtake us as a thief in the night. Got this one from, at the time, Elder Jeffrey R. Holland. This is from a BYU devotional, September 12th, 2004. He says, we should watch for the signs and read the meaning of the seasons. We should live as faithfully as we possibly can, and we should share the gospel with everyone so that blessings and protections will be available to all. But we cannot and must not be paralyzed just because that event and the events surrounding it are out there. He's referring to 9/11 ahead of us somewhere. We cannot stop living life. Indeed, we should live life more fully than we ever have lived it before. After all, this is the dispensation of the fullness of times. Okay. And that's all I have for that one. And then I wanted to read some from this one too. So the topic is timing of the second coming. The misconception is we can't really know when it's going to happen. It could be now or 100 years from now. Okay, Matthew 24, 32 through 33. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise, ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. So that's Christ himself. He says, yeah, you will know. You'll know that it's near. There's going to be obvious things that are happening. Now, some people want big, spectacular, magical, cinematic things. I don't think that's what he's referring to. I think it's things that are pretty dramatic and sensational, but we tend to dismiss them, like 2 world wars, and then a war the likes of which that we recently saw in Israel that we haven't seen before, natural disasters and all the things that are just crazy these last few years. Okay, I'm not going to read that one. I was going to read it, but Doctrine and Covenants 45, 38 through 40. Even so, it shall be in that day when they shall see all these things, then shall they know that the hour is nigh. And it shall come to pass that he that feareth me shall be looking forth for the great day of the Lord to come, even for the signs of the coming of the Son of Man. And they shall see signs and wonders, for they shall be shown forth in the heavens above and in the earth beneath. And boy, have we seen signs ever since I started this channel. And before, of course, but especially since 2020, it's just been crazy. Elder Orson Pratt of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, Journal of Discourses, Volume 8, page 49. The time is near. How near no man knoweth, the day and the hour when the Son of Man shall come is a secret. In a revelation given to this church, it is said that no man shall know until he comes. Therefore, we cannot expect to know the day nor the hour, but we know it is near at hand. And what a consolation it is. There may be men that will know within a year, that will have revelation to say within 1 or 2 years when the Lord shall appear. I do not know that there is anything against this. And I am with Elder Pratt on that. So it could be, and we've discussed this in recent videos, it could be that the prophet himself, he may know the day or the hour, or it may be revealed to him, the week before, the day before, the day of, before everybody else sees it, the day of, something like that. I'm definitely not going to discount what Joseph Smith said, but I feel like even more likely, or something that I think makes a lot of sense, is that, like I've said before, it could have been revealed. Say that maybe it was revealed to the first time to President Gordon B. Hinckley. Something like, I'm coming soon. I need you to do all this stuff with temples and do this and this. I will be here no later than the year 2030. Or I am going to come, but it's not going to be any time before, 2025, but no later than this. Or it's going to be in 5 years, but you can't calculate it to the exact date, just generally speaking, about 5 years from now. So it could be something like that. Elder Bernard P. Brockbank, assistant to the Council of the 12 Apostles, the April 1976 General Conference, the leaves are commencing to show on the fig tree, is the name of the talk. Before the second coming of Jesus Christ, certain promised signs and wonders are to take place, making it possible for his saints to know the approximate time of his coming. And I'm just going to finish with this one. This is Elder Christoffel Golden of the 70. This is the October 2021 General Conference. This was right after I started my channel. It was the first conference after I started my channel. The name of the talk is Preparing for the Second Coming of Christ. For those who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts to feel, more than ever before, we are required to confront the reality that we are getting ever closer to the second coming of Jesus Christ. True, great difficulties yet await those on the earth at his return, but in this regard, the faithful need not fear. And then I want to finish with this. This is President Nelson's most recent General Conference talk called Confidence in the Presence of God. And he says, "We do not know the day or the hour of his coming, but I do know that the Lord is prompting me to urge us to get ready for that great and dreadful day." There's a footnote 12, that takes you to Matthew 24, verses 36 to 37. Verse 36 says, "But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only." And he could have left it at that. His point was, we don't know the day or the hour of his coming. But then he decided to include verse 37. "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." So for anybody studying this talk, this is President Nelson saying, yeah, we don't know, but think about the time of Noah and the wickedness that prevailed at that time. And after that came the flood. And right now we're waiting for the baptism of fire, the earth's baptism of fire. The flood was the baptism by water. The second coming is the baptism of fire. So I don't know. He may not have a time frame, or he might. He seems to indicate here that at least right now, he doesn't know the day or the hour. He doesn't say we will never know, or that I will never know the day or the hour. So I think that we just need to keep an open mind, just wait and see what's going to happen, but avoid this behavior of like, no, it's not going to happen. We know this, we know that. No, you don't know. That's why my channel is so focused on what actually happens and what is actually being said, rather than trying to predict. A lot of people in the second coming community, whether members of our church or people outside of our church, they're so preoccupied with trying to predict what's going to happen. What do we have remaining? What other prophecies have to be fulfilled? Look at these numbers. Look at this. Look at that. I take all that with a grain of salt. I'm much more interested in what's actually happening. And during the course of my channel, we have seen a lot happen. the likes of which I have not seen in my lifetime, being a member of the church my entire life. This is like crazy world right now. I've never seen the world nor the church like it is right now. Especially when you look at the church, it's pretty clear that something is going on. Because this is not like the President Monson days. This is not like the President Hinckley days. Although the President Hinckley days was pretty exciting. There was a lot going on. I remember a lot of talk about President Hinckley and, all the temples and the Winter Olympics coming to Salt Lake City. And there were, the conference center, the new conference center. There was a lot of things going on then, but then it seemed to kind of like, in a way, kind of like slow down or kind of mellow out during President Monson's time. And that's not saying anything bad about him. But I'm just saying that I remember these times. And I'm sure that a lot of you do too, if you've been a member of the church for that long. And if you have, then you know that President Nelson's presidency is unlike anything that we've seen before in this church. A lot of what he's doing is unprecedented. There have been so many changes, and we have not seen a president of the church that's been so focused on the second coming. The only one that compares to him would be President Ezra Taft Benson. And I have that on another spreadsheet, the number of times that he spoke about the second coming and used all these words that have to do with the second coming in general conference talks. But President Nelson passes him up just by the numbers. So, okay, so take that for what you will. But hopefully all this made sense. That's going to be it for this one. All right, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.